The Fearless Journey. Once upon a time, in a quiet village surrounded by mountains, there lived a young woman named Sarah. Sarah was known for her kindness and hard work, but she had one problem: she was afraid of almost everything. She feared the dark, new experiences, and even the idea of talking to strangers. Most days, she stayed close to home, where she felt safe. One morning, Sarah heard a knock at her door. She opened it to see an old woman standing there. The old woman wore a long cloak and had a kind smile on her face. "Hello, Sarah," the old woman said. "I've come to ask you for help. I need someone to bring this basket to my daughter, who lives on the other side of the mountain." Sarah's heart raced. The other side of the mountain? She had never gone that far from the village. The thought of crossing the dark forest and climbing the tall mountain filled her with fear. She hesitated, unsure of what to say. Seeing Sarah's worry, the old woman smiled gently and said, "Remember, Sarah, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. You are stronger than you think." Sarah didn't fully understand what the old woman meant, but she nodded and took the basket. "I'll do my best," she said, though her voice trembled. With the basket in her hands, Sarah began her journey. The road to the mountain was long and winding, and the forest was dark, just as she feared. Every shadow looked like a monster, and every rustling sound made her heart jump. As Sarah walked deeper into the forest, she remembered the old woman's words. "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." She took a deep breath and decided to focus on the road ahead. Step by step, she told herself that the forest was just a forest, the shadows were just trees, and the noises were just the wind. After a while, Sarah's fear began to fade. She realized that nothing had hurt her. The forest wasn't dangerous, and the shadows weren't monsters. The only thing that had made her afraid was her own imagination. Feeling braver, Sarah continued her journey. Soon, she reached the base of the mountain. It was tall, and the path looked steep, but Sarah knew she had to keep going. She remembered the old woman's smile and the words she had spoken. "I can do this," Sarah said to herself. As Sarah climbed higher, the air grew colder, and the wind howled. Her legs ached, and she was tired, but she didn't let fear stop her. She kept going, one step at a time. When she reached the top of the mountain, she looked back at the village below. The fear she had once felt seemed small and distant now. On the other side of the mountain, Sarah saw a small cottage. A woman stood outside, waving at her. "You must be Sarah. My mother told me you were coming," the woman said warmly. "Thank you for bringing the basket." Sarah handed over the basket with a smile, feeling proud of what she had accomplished. The woman invited Sarah inside for tea, and as they sat by the fire, Sarah realized something important. She had spent so much of her life being afraid of things that were never really dangerous. The journey had shown her that fear itself was her biggest enemy. When Sarah returned to her village, she was a different person. She still felt fear sometimes, but now she knew how to face it. She no longer let fear control her life. She started visiting new places, meeting new people, and trying new things. And each time she felt afraid, she remembered the old woman's words, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." Sarah's story spread throughout the village. People were amazed at her bravery and how much she had changed. They, too, began to realize that fear often stops us from doing the things we are capable of. Inspired by Sarah, many villagers began to face their own fears, whether it was learning to speak in public, traveling to new places, or simply trying something they had never done before. Sarah became a symbol of courage in the village. She continued to help others and encourage them to face their fears. She often shared her experience from the journey, reminding everyone that fear is just a feeling, and once you face it, it loses its power. In the end, Sarah's life was full of new experiences and adventures. She discovered that the world was much bigger and more beautiful than she had ever imagined. And as she walked through the village with her head held high, she knew that no matter what challenges came her way, she would never be afraid of fear itself again.